Okay, so I'm fairly confident that is okay. So I'm fairly confident that that's going to record fine. I'm going to check every so often that that's recording. Um, so I still don't know what this channel really is yet. That's what the lettering is all about. I don't know what this channel is yet because I kind of want to do a lot of things, but I get distracted with other things, such is always the way with me. Um, but this kind of thing is something that I've wanted to do for a long, long time. And I get this kind of really strong feeling that I have to record this in this moment. Um, I'm not too sure why. Maybe just it just gets to a boiling point and it has to get out. Kind of like the previous video I did. If anyone's a frequent watcher of that one video, which I don't even think I've checked the views. I think I've watched it and that's about it. But that's totally fine. Even if one person watched it, apart from me, that is all it really needs to be. Uh, all it really needs to be, because it was sort of a, if it can assist one person, you know, great. Because I don't know. Back whenever I was dealing with that stuff, I don't know. I kind of wish I saw that kind of video. Not that I would have necessarily tipped the scales. I would still have had to um, talk to a professional about sort of OCD tendencies. That's kind of what the last video was about, in case people haven't seen it. But this one is kind of more about. I don't know what this title is going to be. Maybe like on waking up finally. That's how I would describe it. This thing I'm going to talk about. I don't even know. There's a flow to this maybe, but there is a point. But I might go from a sort of a beginning. I'm sort of someone who doesn't know when things are going to when things get to them. Um, I kind of a lot of the anxieties I feel, a lot of the issues that I would have gone through are kind of in the back of my mind rather than the forefront. I mean, certainly things can can get to the forefront, and I can definitely become quite anxious and um, panicked. Um, but essentially, what I would describe that happened relatively recently, maybe a few years ago, yeah, is that I woke up in a way. So I would describe my sort of life path as being fairly normal for a while, and then due to my grandfather passing, which I kind of didn't realize I was as close with him as I was, and I think that really affected me for a long, long time. I think I kind of started to care less about a lot of things. Um, and I would give up a little bit easier. I don't know if those two things are exactly connected, but maybe these are. This is kind of so long ago. This is when I was about, you know, 11, 12, this kind of age. And that's so long ago now. I'm 27 now. It's so long ago that these things seem connected. Maybe they aren't. Maybe they are. I think that they probably are. Um, it essentially led to not being able to pass a lot of classes. In fact, I don't think I passed any classes whenever I was doing my GCSEs. I think I literally failed everything. And then I got thrown into a really great opportunity, which was I went to um, the Southern Regional College, which I did media, hence the microphone and camera. Um, I I found I was quite good at it, and it was the first thing I was good at in a long, long time. In high school, I just wasn't good at really much because I partly because I didn't try, but also a lot of the ways that people learn in high school I just didn't learn. Um, Probably more of a practical learner. You didn't actually see it visibly, but anyway, I'd went through the first few years of that. You know, those courses, kind of building up skills. You learn a lot of things over there. I always in interviews afterwards would promote them essentially, not intentionally, but just because it was really something that it was just a place that you just totally like it prepares you so much for the kind of work you'd be hopefully doing afterwards. Um, but anyway, um, but while I was good at those things, I kind of didn't push myself to really do. I didn't really push to do more at that time. I should have done more at the time. I would do certain jobs that people would approach the SRC to do, just little free videos, little promotional things, just to get a little bit of extra experience. You do practical videos, but doing things for clients really helps. Um, and I did that, but I never did YouTube stuff, and I always kind of regret not doing it, earlier. And that part of it was kind of something I talked about in the previous video, which was the idea to be perfect at everything. And that's kind of why I'm making these in this way, just a sort of train of consciousness. There's no scripting to this, as is obvious. Um, just get it out there. I think this kind of works better anyway for this. Just to kind of get it out, kind of raw like that. I've been finding myself watching a lot of these videos recently. This kind of people who have been lost in things and have give their perspective on it and potential ways to turn it around. And if they have turned it around, they can give advice to other people. I find those videos quite weirdly relaxing. I think at other points in my life, I probably wouldn't. I would probably be stressing about, what if I fall into this kind of thing that they're in and I don't get out, and I wouldn't want to watch it. I would just put it off. But now that I'm in a position in which I can kind of look back and I have more security and confidence in things that I do. I'm much more confident on camera, for example, than I used to be, partly because of the work I do now and the work I've done for the last few years, getting in front of camera and talking. That's still recording. Um, but essentially, I would just do sort of course after course and class after class and assume that something would come of it at a point. Something did eventually come of it at a point. I'll get to that at the end, but there was definitely a fear that if I didn't take every opportunity that I could, that I wouldn't get to where I am now. And I didn't even take every opportunity. That's things like career fairs were something I just never went to, and they're so useful, um, especially in the industry I'm doing now. But um, essentially, I wouldn't. I would sort of get into a rhythm of not really doing much apart from classes. I wouldn't do things outside of it. I wouldn't take an enthusiastic approach, and I don't. There's kind of a couple things around this time. This was about 2022. This is kind of the whole point of the video. I've kind of rambled for a little bit. I don't even know how long. September of 2022, No Time to Die came out. And I don't know why, but that movie just hit me in such a powerful way. I think part of it was maybe because James Bond dressed very similarly in that movie to my dad. And I think I was able to just kind of sort of almost picture my dad in that sort of James Bond character in that movie. And that whole film, a little bit, I also put myself in it a little bit. That's kind of what that character in series is sort of like that sort of power fantasy and kind of, you kind of wish you were that cool and etc. etc. But that movie is about not wasting time. And I think I genuinely was sort of so affected by it because I was getting older. I was 24, just about to turn 25. I was getting older. I was getting, things had to change. And they did. I took a more proactive approach to things. I would do things earlier. I would be a big procrastinator. I'm not so much a procrastinator now. I am for certain things. For example, this video I was going to do about a week and a half ago, and I just didn't. Um, and then another aspect of this, which was um, like being interested in one person sort of romantically for a long time. That was in a, it was a very poor. I don't even know if I would say a relationship exactly. It was a very complicated thing, but that was also something that held me back for a long time. And another again, um, I was watching videos on people sort of giving relationship advice, and essentially there was about it was about it's a sort of a different topic. It's not really something I want to go into, but essentially it made me realize that I was in a certain situation that I didn't realize I was in. I was in kind of a like a toxic relationship, if that's sort of the modern way of saying it. Um, Not even a relationship. It was over by that point, but I think it was more like I was in this sort of aftermath trance, and that combined with seeing No Time to Die almost like flip the switch. I think this happens with a lot of people, that this flipping the switch, this kind of waking up. So I did feel like I was finally starting to actually live properly. Um, I would start to then I'd made a movie, well, helped make a movie rather, with a bunch of people for university, and then made another one. Both were crowdfunded. That was really cool. Uh, that was sort of the first taste of, oh, this is kind of getting real. I did not an internship. What is it, like a placement, and then also did a little bit of time with them as a film festival. And that would help to record master classes, sort of behind the scenes stuff, and they would actually pay me for it. It was the first paid job I ever got, and it was really cool. And then now, after applying probably to 40 different places on Indeed, which sucks, I got one. I sent an email through someone's LinkedIn account. It wasn't even through LinkedIn. It was just their email address that was on LinkedIn. I got an interview and got a job in the industry as like an editor, videographer, and it's kind of it's really cool to actually have finally gotten there after 11 years. And it was sort of it's been a long journey, but essentially it's kind of a situation of, if I can do it, I think pretty much everyone can do it. It just takes a while sometimes. Some people get it really quick. I've seen people get it really quick. I've seen people get it after a long while. I know someone who's made a documentary at he must be in his early 50s. And he just had no interest in making films, but he got it done. Or he appeared in it. I think he was he had a hand in its production. You know, which I should really watch. Um, yeah. Essentially, this has kind of been a weird ramble about essentially that you can have hurdles in your life, and you're gonna eventually come out of it. Um, Not that I've had a terribly difficult life, but even things like relationships. I know I'm now in a very happy relationship, thankfully. Um, that's really helped to make everything sort of feels more secure, feels good. It feels just very positive a lot of the time now. Not that I felt negative, but I was definitely in jobs I didn't like. I was in. I'll make make a video about that. It's kind of one of those things again. You just don't realize just how much you don't like it once you step away from it. you start to realize just kind of how it wasn't helping you in the long run. Um, and sort of my advice to people who want to get into this kind of industry is kind of take opportunities that are offered to you. Say if you're in a classroom and again businesses approach those kind of schools and colleges and they'll offer, extra videos, just say yes, or even just offer to do free stuff for people for a little time. That's a that's a difficult thing to kind of get past, is stopping the free stuff and starting to get the paid for it. I would say once you kind of have a show reel, it's so it's so good to have a show reel for these things rather than just a CV, because this medium is so visual. Have a show reel that shows off everything that you've either shot or have been a big part in, and just throw it at people. um, you can go to like local businesses. That works a lot of the time. Just kind of do a free video for you. Leave them a business card afterwards. You know, especially if it's kind of a local town, your kind of name will get around. I feel like this is going to be sort of the start of a series of videos that, because this is, I'm sort of only scratching the surface, as I've kind of alluded to. Maybe this will become some kind of a therapy channel for me almost. We'll see. Um, there's there's a lot of other things I want this to be. I don't really know. Again, I don't know what this channel is yet. Maybe I'll find out eventually. But um, I kind of want it to be a lot of things. Um, I want to show off my weird hobbies, like I collecting stuff, like nostalgic stuff from childhood. Maybe that's an example of holding on to the past, and maybe that's not an entirely healthy thing, but I don't think it's too bad. I'm only getting the odd thing, but things like that. Kind of talking about movies I like, books I like. I think there's a benefit in even just talking, even just to myself, kind of getting it out there. Um, yeah, I think it's gonna be about just being consistent with it. Another aspect of me waking up was that I would take like my health more seriously, exercising more. I still need to get really into a groove. I'm one of those people that kind of, I'll do a really good 3 or 4 weeks, maybe not four, 3 weeks, maybe of really good exercise, maybe 4 weeks sometimes, but and then I'll just stop for the same amount of time and going on and off. My issues, I'm not consistent, not disciplined enough. Um, but there's other things that I've gotten so much better at after waking up. I am proactive rather than reactive, and I feel like everybody hits that at slightly different points. You're always going to see those people who sort of view as more mature than us at the same age or even younger, and then the opposite being people who are older and less mature. But I feel like people just get to that point where they just realize that it's sort of time to take sort of action in a lot of things. And the way I took action was finally get a job in this career path. Um, you know, I didn't know what I really wanted until I'm sort of put into it, and I find myself even just doing little extra bits at the weekend, not because I have to, but because I want to. Um, I'm not paid for it, but I like doing it. Um, I think that's a great place to be, and I'm very thankful for it. And I'm very thankful for my girlfriend as well, who may watch this at some point. I may be brave enough to show her. Um, yeah, thankful to a lot of people. Uh, And that's all for now. Yeah.